This is part 72 of C# tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss dictionary object in C#. A dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. So when we create a dictionary, we need to specify the type for key and value. And this dictionary class is present in system.collections.generic namespace. And the fastest way to find a value within the dictionary is by using its key. And keys within the dictionary must be unique. Let's understand this dictionary with an example. Let's flip to Visual Studio. So here I have a console application. We'll be making use of a customer class in this demo. So here we have a customer class with 3 auto-implemented properties. First of all, let's go ahead and create some customer objects. So let's call this maybe customer1 equals new customer. And then let's initialize the properties. Let's say ID equals 101, maybe name equals Mark, and salary equals 5,000. And let's create 2 other customer objects. So let's make a copy of this customer object, and let's change the object name to customer 2 and here customer 3, and let's set ID to maybe 110, Pam, and maybe something like 6,500, and similarly let's set this to maybe 119 is the customer ID, John is the name of the customer, and maybe his salary is 3,500. Okay, now let's go ahead and create a customer dictionary. First of all, this dictionary class is present in system.collections.generic namespace. So let's go ahead and bring that in. Alright, now when we create a dictionary, we need to specify the data type for its key and value. So basically, remember, a dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. Okay, so let's create a dictionary. And look at this, the moment I open this angular bracket, it asks for the type for the key and the type for the value. So we are going to create a customer's dictionary, and the key for this dictionary is going to be the ID of the customer, and the value is going to be the customer object itself. Okay, so the key is going to be integer because we want our key to be customer ID, and customer ID is of type integer, and the value is going to be the customer object itself. So the type is going to be customer, and let's give this dictionary a meaningful name. Let's call this dictionary maybe customers. So we have just created a customer's dictionary. The type for the key is integer, and the value, the type for the value is customer. Okay, now let's add these customer objects to our dictionary. Alright, and to add items to the dictionary, we use add method. Okay, and look at this, the moment I open the bracket, it prompts me the key has to be integer and the value has to be customer object. So where do I get customer1's ID from? Using the customer1 object. So customer1.id is going to give us the ID of customer1, which is an integer type, and we want to store the object itself, customer1 object. And similarly, let's go ahead and store customer2 and customer3. Alright, so at this point we have created a dictionary and we added customer objects to the dictionary. Okay, now we want to find customers within this dictionary, and the best way to find a value within the dictionary is by using its key. What's the key here? The ID of the customer. Now let's say I want to find the details of this customer who has got this ID 119. So the fastest way to retrieve this customer object from this dictionary is to use the key for that dictionary. The key here is customer ID, which is 119. So look at this. The moment I say dictionary of customers, open a square bracket, look at that, it prompts me to enter the key. Okay, what is the key? It's customer ID of type integer. So we want the details of customer 119. So I simply pass their ID, and look at what it is returning back. It's returning a customer object back. So let's store that in a variable of type customer, and maybe let's call this customer 119. Okay, So we have just retrieved a value from the dictionary using its key. Alright, now if I want to print the details of this customer, we can simply use console.writeLine. Let's say I want to print ID, and I also want to print name, and then salary as well. Okay, so where are we going to get the ID from this customer object? So customer119.id, their name, and finally their salary. Alright, so let's run this and see if we get the details of customer whose ID is 119. There we go, the details match. Alright, okay, so is it possible to loop through each item within the dictionary? Absolutely. Now if we have a list of customers, for example, then we can loop through each item within that list of customers using a for each loop. Similarly, here I have a dictionary of customers, so is it possible to loop through each item within that dictionary? Absolutely. Okay, so let's use a for each loop. Let's get rid of this line right here. So for each, now if you have a list of customers, then you know that list is a collection of customer objects. But here, this dictionary is not as simple as saying this dictionary is a collection of customers. It's actually a collection of customers and their IDs. So here we have the key and a value. Okay, so a dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. So here when we loop through, we have to use key value pair, because a dictionary is essentially a collection of key value pair objects. And when we use key value pair, we need to specify the type of the key and the type of the value. The type of the key is customer ID, which is integer, and the type of the value is customer object itself. And give this a meaningful name, and maybe let's call it customer key value pair in dictionary customers. Okay, now to get the key from the key value pair, all you need to do is customer key value pair dot key, and look at that. What is it returning? It is returning an integer back, nothing but the ID of the customer. So let's say we want to print the ID. Console.writeLine ID equals, so that should print the ID. Now what is the value within this key value pair? It's nothing but the customer object itself. So look at this. The moment we say customer key value pair dot value, and look at the IntelliSense, what is it returning back? It's returning a customer object back. So let's store that in a variable of type customer. Maybe let's call it cust. Alright, now if we want to get the values out of this customer object, we can very easily do that using the respective properties ID, name, and salary. So maybe let's go ahead and print the ID, name, and salary. So again, to do that, ID equals, maybe a placeholder there. Similarly, name equals, and salary equals. Alright, so cust.id, and similarly customer.name and customer.salary. So when we run this, as you might expect, it should loop through each customer and then pull out their probably let's call this key, because we are actually pulling out the key, so we know that's the key, and this one is the value. And then maybe let's include a dotted line here so that each customer will be separated. Alright, so let's go ahead and run this. Now it should loop through each customer and print their values. Look at that. We have customer whose key is 101, 110, 119, and their respective details. So you can find values within a dictionary either by using the key like this, which is the fastest way basically to retrieve an item from the dictionary, or you can loop through each item within the dictionary. Okay, and keep in mind, a dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. Okay, now here we are using key value pair. Now instead of using key value pair, we can also use an implicitly typed variable, something like this, var. Okay, now if I run this, it's still going to work the same way. Let's go ahead and close these windows here. Let me run this once again. Look at that, I have the same output. Instead, I mean, the only change here is we have changed you know the data type to var, the implicitly typed variable. Now should we use this one or should we use key value pair? My personal preference to use key value pair, because that way your code is more readable rather than using this implicitly typed variable. Because just by looking at this code right now here, I can't tell what is the type of the key and what is the type of value. On the other hand, if you use key value pair, then you know what is the type of the key and what is the type of the value. Okay, so your code is more readable. So as far as possible, try avoid using this var keyword, which is an implicitly typed variable. Alright, now is it possible to loop through the keys within the dictionary? Absolutely. If you want to just get keys, let's actually comment this line. So I want to loop through through all the keys within the dictionary. If you want to do that, so dictionary object has got keys property, so which is going to return the list of keys back. Now what are our key, what is the data type of our key? It's nothing but an integer, so we are going to get an integer back. Okay, so let's call this maybe key, and then let's say console.line the key. So it should print out all the keys now. So let me go ahead and run this, and look at that, we have all the keys. Similarly, is it possible to retrieve only the values that are there within the dictionary? Absolutely. So instead of using .keys property, all you need to do is use .values property. But what is value type? It's nothing but a customer, which means we are going to get a customer back. So let's call this maybe customer, and let's say cust is the name of the reference variable. Let's get rid of this one. Let's uncomment this line. So if you look at this piece of code, it's straightforward. All we are doing is we are retrieving the ID, name, and salary from that customer object. So let's go ahead and run this now, and look at that, you get their values as expected. Alright, now another thing to keep in mind is the keys within the dictionary must be unique. So if you look at this dictionary, this customers dictionary, we already have used these three keys, 101, 110, and 119. So what happens if I try to add, let's get rid of this code. So what's going to happen if I try to add maybe customer 1 object once again? When I build this, do I get a compile error? No, build succeeded. But when I run this, we get a runtime exception. Look at that, argument exception. An item with the same key has already been added. So we already have a key with the same key within the dictionary, so we have that exception. So keys within the dictionary must be unique. When you try to add them, make sure the key doesn't already exist. So how to check if a key exists or not? Again, this dictionary object has a method called contains key. Okay, so you can specify the key that you want to add there. You can pass it as a parameter. So if that dictionary doesn't contain that key, then go ahead and add this. So if you're not sure whether the key is present within a dictionary or not, you can use this contains key method. It returns a boolean, a true or a false. So let me run this now. Look at that, we don't get any error right now because this piece of code wouldn't be executed because the key is already there, so this line will be skipped. Not only while adding, even when you retrieve the values from the dictionary using keys, make sure the dictionary has got the key before you try to retrieve a value. Look at this, when I say customer, maybe cust equals dictionary customers, and then let's say I want to retrieve a customer object whose ID is maybe 135. Now, does this dictionary contain a value with that ID? No, it doesn't. So what happens when I try to build the solution? Look at this. Build succeeded. We don't get any compiler error, but when I actually run this, we get an exception at runtime. Key not found exception. So basically you try to look up a key that doesn't exist. So you use this key that doesn't exist, and that's why we have that exception. So again, check if the key exists or not. How do you do that? The same idea. So dictionary customers dot contains key, whatever key that you are trying to look up. So if that key is present, only then execute this piece of code. There are several other useful functions within this dictionary class. We'll discuss them in our next video session. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.